Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's take up the daily quiz for today. The first question: which of the following statements are correct? The S-400 Triumph is an advanced intercontinental ballistic missile developed by Russia. India has signed a deal with Russia to procure the S-400. This deal may attract US sanctions under the Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act, or also known as CATSA. Amongst the given statements, the first statement is incorrect, so option C is the right answer. See, the S-400 Triumph is indeed a Russian weapon platform, but however, it is not an advanced intercontinental ballistic missile. Instead, it is an advanced air defense platform that is used to neutralize any hostile aircrafts and aerial threats. India has signed a deal with Russia to procure the S-400 for its air defense. But however, this deal might attract American sanctions under its CATSA law. As we have discussed in previous sessions, the CATSA legislation of the US targets Russia as one of its adversary states, and it places primary sanctions on Russia. And those countries that trade with Russia, especially in critical sectors such as defense, they can invite secondary sanctions. So both statements 2 and 3 are correct, but the first statement is incorrect. This question was taken up because according to this article in the Hindu, Russian foreign minister is on a visit to India to hold talks with India's foreign minister. This happens to be a crucial meeting between India and Russia involving their respective foreign ministers, because the focus of this meet would be the ongoing peace efforts in Afghanistan. Just like the US, even Russia is playing a key role behind the scenes to work out a deal with the Taliban in order to stabilize the country. And both the major powers are trying to get all the other countries on board, especially those countries which have a stake in Afghanistan. And as a part of this ongoing peace process, the Russian foreign minister is on a visit to India. The article also mentions that during this meeting, the S-400 topic could be discussed because India is still expecting the delivery of the first S-400 systems later this year. But however, the delivery of the weapons from Russia to India might invite American sanctions under CATSA. Now let's look at the second question. Consider the following statements with regard to the Tehri Dam. The Tehri Dam has been built on the Chenab River in Jammu and Kashmir. It is the tallest dam in India. It supplies power to much of northern India, including Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. In the initial phases of construction, technical and financial assistance was provided by the Soviet Union. Amongst the given statements, the first statement is incorrect, so option C is the right answer. See, the Tehri Dam has been built on the Bhagirathi River, not the Chenab River. And this dam and hydropower project happens to be located in Uttarakhand, as seen in this map over here, and not in Jammu and Kashmir. This is a major hydropower project which supplies power to Delhi, UP, and several other parts of northern India. And back in the 1980s, when the initial phases of the construction was taken up, Soviet Union was assisting India until the collapse of the Soviet Union. After several decades of construction, India operationalized the project in early 2000, and it is not only the tallest dam in India, but it is also a critical hydropower project. This question was taken up because the Hindu carries an image that depicts the Tehri Dam located in the Garhwal forest areas of Uttarakhand. See, this map over here clearly shows the Garhwal division and the Kumaon division of Uttarakhand. And it's important to be familiar with these administrative divisions of Uttarakhand as they have sensitive ecology and as they are located in sensitive border areas. And you can possibly expect a map-based question in prelims. Now let's look at the third question. Which of the following statements are incorrect? Cobra, which stands for Commando Battalion for Resolute Action, is a special operation unit of the NSG, or the National Security Guards. It specializes in urban warfare and close quarters combat. It was established specifically for anti-hijack and anti-hostage operations. Amongst the given statements, all the three are incorrect, so option D is the right answer. See, the Cobra, or the Commando Battalion for Resolute Action, is a special force unit, not of the NSG, but of the CRPF, or the Central Reserve Police Force. It's a very well-trained, well-equipped special force of the CRPF, and it specializes in guerrilla warfare and jungle warfare. This special force unit of the CRPF was established specifically to carry out anti-Naxal operations in the Naxal corridor. The Cobra Battalion of the CRPF assists the anti-Naxal units of the state police forces in conducting intelligence-based counter-insurgency operations in the Naxal-hit areas. This question has been taken up in the context of the latest attack that took place in Chhattisgarh, which resulted in the killing of around 22 to 23 security personnel at the hands of the Maoists. This attack has highlighted the threat posed by left-wing extremism to India's internal security, and it also shows how Chhattisgarh, especially southern parts of Chhattisgarh, has emerged as the hub of Naxal activity. During this latest Naxal attack, several commandos of the Cobra Battalion of the CRPF have also been killed, and reportedly, one of the missing Cobra commandos might have been abducted by the Naxals. Now let's take up the fourth question. ULFA is an armed separatist organization with its operations focused on which Indian state? Manipur, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland. The correct answer is option B. ULFA is known to operate in Assam. See, ULFA stands for United Liberation Front of Assam, and it is an armed insurgent outfit that was founded in 1979 in the backdrop of the Assam agitation. It was formed as an armed resistance against the Indian state in order to prevent the illegal migration from Bangladesh, which was resulting in socio-ethnic tensions in the state of Assam. It emerged as a separatist outfit, giving a call for liberating Assam from India, and it went on to establish bases in neighboring countries such as Bhutan, Bangladesh, and even in Myanmar. At one point, it was a very notorious insurgent outfit, carrying out several terror attacks in the region, and this led the government of India to designate ULFA as a terrorist organization under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. In 2003, with a joint operation between Indian and Bhutanese forces, the ULFA camps in Bhutan were destroyed, and in Bangladesh, where ULFA was receiving support through Pakistan's ISI, lost its safe haven and terror sanctuary from 2009 onwards, because the Sheikh Hasina government in Bangladesh, which came to power, started working with India to crack down on these insurgent outfits. Eventually, the remnants of ULFA have shifted base to Myanmar, and following the major crackdown in 2009-2010, top leaders of ULFA such as Arvind Rajkova were arrested and they were handed over to India. This substantial weakening of ULFA pushed this terrorist outfit to talks with the Indian government, and as a result, a tripartite agreement was signed in 2011 calling for the suspension of operations, and this agreement was signed between the government of India, the state government of Assam, and the pro-talks faction of ULFA. But still, there were few leaders of ULFA who represented the anti-talks faction who were opposed to negotiating with India, and this faction under the leadership of Paresh Barua went on to set up ULFA Independent, which still continues to be in a state of war with the Indian government, and reportedly it is based along the China-Myanmar border. India even has reasons to believe that Chinese intelligence might be backing ULFA Independent, and this faction of ULFA continues to have a presence along these border areas of China and Myanmar. This question was taken up because we have an article in The Hindu which reports that ULFA Independent has released a few hostages that it had captured in Nagaland, and these hostages have been secured by the Assam Rifles, which is the border guarding force along the India-Myanmar border. Now let's look at the fifth question. The conflict-hit town of Palma, which was recently seized by Islamic State-linked terrorists, is located in which country? Libya, Yemen, Syria, Mozambique. The correct answer is option D, Mozambique. See, Palma is a northern coastal town of Mozambique, and it is known for its gas reserves. In this coastal town, jihadist elements have been waging a conflict over the last few years, and recently, reportedly, the whole town was seized by terrorists linked to the Islamic State. And according to this article in The Hindu, Mozambique's military has reported that they have fought back these terrorists and they have liberated Palma from the Islamic State. Now let's take up a question from the 2018 prelims paper. Why is a plant called as Prosopis juliflora often mentioned in news? Its extract is widely used in cosmetics. It tends to reduce the biodiversity in the area in which it grows. Its extract is used in pesticides or none of the above. The correct answer is option B. See, this plant is basically an exotic alien species which acts as an invasive species that can threaten and destroy the native species. This variety of plant was introduced to India from Mexico by the British, and particularly in and around Delhi, it has become an invasive species that has destroyed the native species, thereby reducing the biodiversity of this region. Now, coming to the fact of the day, let's talk about the appointment process of the CBI director. Because this topic is in news, according to this article in the Hindu, and the Supreme Court has directed the government that interim appointments to the post of CBI director cannot go on, and hence it has pushed the government to provide for full-time appointment, as the CBI is a critical institution in our fight against government corruption. See, the CBI functions as per the provisions of the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. Under Section 4A of this Act, the director of the CBI has been provided for and his appointment process has been listed out. As the CBI was primarily dealing with government corruption, the superintendence over this organization was vested with the Central Vigilance Commission in certain matters. When the CVC Act of 2003 was enacted, the CVC was given the superintendent's powers over the CBI in certain matters. But however, with regard to the functioning of the CBI, it enjoys no autonomy and it functions directly under the government. But the CVC Act provided for a 2-year security of tenure to the director of CBI in order to guarantee his independence and autonomy. Then in 2013, the Lokpal and Lokayuktas Act was introduced, which amended the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, following which several changes have been introduced to the appointment process of the CBI director. Currently, there is a selection committee and an appointments committee that are involved in the selection and appointment of the director of CBI, and this selection committee, headed by the Chief Vigilance Commissioner, creates a pool of officers who are eligible to be appointed as the directors. From this pool of officers, the appointments committee will make the final choice and provide for the appointment of the director of CBI. This appointment committee is a 3-member committee consisting of the Prime Minister himself as the chairperson, and it also includes the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha or the leader of the single largest opposition party in the Lok Sabha. And the other member would be the Chief Justice of India or a judge of the Supreme Court nominated by him. So this 3-member appointment committee decides upon the appointment of the CBI director, but over the last few months, this post has remained vacant and the government has only provided for an interim appointment. Hence, the Supreme Court has criticized the government and it has asked the government to stop making such interim appointments. Through its directives, it has pushed the government to speed up the process of appointment and provide for a full-time CBI director. So with this, let's conclude our discussion for today. Thanks for watching.